This relationship is a liability.
My personal life is not up for negotiation, and neither is she.
The rain poured heavily over the streets of Lagos as 24-year-old Amora hurried through the crowded sidewalk with a worn backpack over her shoulder. She had just finished another exhausting day working as a waitress while studying architecture at the university. Despite life being difficult, Amora never complained. Her late mother had taught her one lesson she never forgot. Your beauty may open a door, but your character will decide whether you stay inside. Those words became her daily motivation. Thousands of miles away, Ethan Harrison, a 35-year-old American billionaire and CEO of Harrison Global Holdings, landed in Nigeria for the biggest investment project of his career. He had everything money could buy: private jets, luxury cars, skyscrapers bearing his company's name, but he lacked one thing money had never been able to purchase: peace. Years of betrayal had convinced him that people only loved his wealth. Determined to keep his identity secret during the first few days of his visit, Ethan dressed casually and wandered through the city without his security team. One evening, heavy rain forced Ethan into a small neighborhood cafe. The light suddenly went out. People began rushing toward the exit. In the confusion, Ethan slipped on the wet floor and injured his ankle. Most customers ignored him. But one person stopped. Amora. Without asking who he was, she knelt beside him. "Are you okay?" "I think I twisted my ankle." She smiled gently. "Can you stand?" He tried. He couldn't. She supported his weight with her shoulder and slowly helped him to a chair. The cafe owner brought a first aid box. Amora carefully wrapped Ethan's ankle. "You really didn't have to do this," Ethan said. She laughed softly. "My mother used to say kindness costs nothing." Those words stayed with Ethan long after she left. Over the next week, Ethan returned to the cafe every evening. Not because of the food. Because of Amora. Their conversations became longer. They talked about dreams, family, books, faith, purpose. Never once did Amora ask what Ethan did for a living. She simply enjoyed talking to him. One evening Ethan asked, "If you suddenly became rich, what would be the first thing you'd buy?" Amora smiled. "A scholarship foundation." He blinked. "You wouldn't buy a mansion." She shook her head. "I've slept in tiny rooms all my life. I know how that feels." Education changes generations. For the first time in years, Ethan felt someone had impressed him without trying. Unknown to Amora, Ethan instructed one of his assistants to quietly investigate her. Everything she had told him was true. She worked 2 jobs. Paid school fees for her younger brother. Visited an orphanage every Saturday. Never borrowed money she couldn't repay. Never accepted gifts she didn't earn. His respect for her grew. Meanwhile, Ethan's board members kept urging him to return to New York. But Ethan extended his trip. His assistant smiled knowingly. "You've never stayed this long anywhere." Ethan looked out the window. "I finally met someone who speaks to my heart instead of my wallet." Months passed. Their friendship slowly became love. One evening Ethan invited Amora to dinner. She arrived wearing a simple blue dress. No expensive jewelry. No designer handbag. Yet Ethan couldn't stop looking at her. "You look beautiful." She smiled shyly. "Thank you." After dinner Ethan finally confessed. "I'm not who you think I am." She looked confused. "My name is Ethan Harrison." "I know." He froze. "You know." She nodded. "I found out weeks ago." "You never said anything." She smiled. "I like the man who drank tea with me in a small cafe. Not the billionaire." For several seconds Ethan couldn't speak. No woman had ever answered him that way. A week later, Ethan invited Amora to visit the headquarters of Harrison Global Holdings. She stepped out of the elevator. Every employee stood. "Good morning, Mr. Harrison." Amora stared in disbelief. Entire floors carried Ethan's name. Luxury offices stretched endlessly. She slowly turned toward him. "So, this is your office." Ethan smiled. "Welcome." She whispered. "You weren't pretending to be poor. I was trying to find someone who would see me before my money." She looked into his eyes. "I did. Not everyone welcomed their relationship." Several executives believed marrying an African woman would damage Ethan's public image. One board member even confronted him. "There are women from powerful families waiting to marry you." Ethan replied calmly. "I'm looking for a wife, not a business merger." Rumors spread across social media. Some accused Amora of chasing wealth. Others mocked their interracial relationship. Amora cried one night. "I don't know if I'm strong enough." Ethan held her hands. "You loved me before you knew I owned anything. Never let strangers rewrite our story." One afternoon, Ethan proposed. Not inside a luxury hotel. Not aboard a private jet. He took her back to the same small cafe where they first met. The owner smiled knowingly. Ethan knelt. "That rainy evening you fixed my ankle. You also healed a heart that money couldn't. Amora, will you marry me?" Tears filled her eyes. "Yes." The cafe erupted in applause. Their wedding became international news. People from different countries attended. But the most emotional guests were the children from the orphanage where Amora had volunteered for years. Instead of receiving expensive wedding gifts, the couple requested donations toward schools and hospitals. Millions were raised. Marriage brought new challenges. Business rivals targeted Ethan's company. Anonymous blogs spread lies about Amora. One article falsely claimed she had manipulated Ethan. She wanted to respond publicly. Ethan stopped her. The truth doesn't become stronger because it shouts. It becomes stronger because it survives. Months later, the false stories disappeared. But their marriage remained. Years passed. Together they established scholarship programs across Africa. Thousands of young students received opportunities they never imagined. One evening they returned to the old cafe. It looked exactly the same. Amora smiled. "Funny." "What?" "Our entire future began because of a rainy day." Ethan laughed. "And because one beautiful stranger chose kindness." She rested her head on his shoulder. "No. It began because two lonely hearts recognized each other." As the sun disappeared behind the city skyline, Ethan looked at Amora with the same admiration he had felt on the very first day. He realized something extraordinary. His greatest investment had never been in skyscrapers. Not in technology. Not in billion-dollar companies. It was in the woman whose love proved that genuine affection is measured not by wealth, status, or nationality, but by loyalty, compassion, and unwavering faith in one another. Together they built not only a successful future, but a legacy of hope, proving that when two hearts choose love over prejudice and kindness over pride, they can inspire generations to believe that true love knows no boundaries.
That's my new ghost, a new part of Tauta. Heredeka do done this shit all over, seen that under Brooker Sata, puta, grapha scata Tauta. Ha, woo, ala de kana pauta. Hey, woo, woo, ala de kana pauta. Hey, woo, woo, adali kana pauta. Kajel na ba pauta, la leona mahauta. Ala de kana bashata la pauta. I'm out. See you later.